Brawl Stars, it's not balanced right now. So today I'm gonna suggest a bunch of balances that I hope to see for the next patch notes. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let's start off with the nerfs. And starting off in the nerfs, we have Guz. So Guz, it's just this insanely versatile brawler, and I'm just honestly kinda tired to see him absolutely everywhere. So the first gadget cooldown would be drastically increased from 16 seconds to 21 seconds, and the second star power bonus damage would be reduced from 25% to bonus 15%. The gadget, it's just a finisher that you just have way too many times. That is annoying. And the amount of damage that you can get from the bonus shield, it's just really strong, and it gives you an insane advantage against practically every single medium HP enemy in the game, and this can be combined with the damage gear and the hypercharge. Like this combined with the hypercharge, you deal 3000 damage per attack. That is insane, and that should be nerfed, at least a little bit. Not too much, because Guz is that versatile brawler, so if you nerf him even just a little bit too much, he could become useless, and we don't really want that. Next on the list we have Draco. Draco, his hypercharge already got nerfed, but I feel like his hypercharge is still absolutely broken. So what I would do is that the hypercharge bonus projectiles would be reduced from double the projectiles to an additional 50% projectiles. So you would still have a bunch of projectiles, but it would not be the insane monstrosity that it is nowadays, because literally one Draco hypercharge, if you play it decently well, it's a team wipe, and it should not be that simple, especially when Draco already has the tank trait. So hopefully this nerf makes his hypercharge just not absolutely busted. Next on the list we have Buster. Buster is another one of those brawlers that you can see practically everywhere. He's a tank, so he has a lot of HP. He has the super, which can be charged thanks to teammates, so that makes him very good in passive maps. And then you have the second gadget to absolutely assassinate everyone, and you even have the hypercharge. So something needs to be toned down. And obviously that has to be the second gadget, so the cooldown would be increased from 17 seconds to 21 seconds. I'm impressed this thing only takes 17 seconds, because this gadget, it's honestly so good. On top of that, the hypercharge bonus speed would be reduced from plus 25% to plus 15%. One thing that I do see a lot of Buster players doing, especially in passive maps, it is hypercharge, use the shield to approach, and then with the last few seconds of the hypercharge, you actually use the second gadget to pull a bunch of enemies and kill them thanks to the hypercharge. So reducing the bonus speed will make this strategy a little bit tougher to pull off, making Buster hopefully a little bit less versatile. Next we have Lily, and her hypercharge, it is really good. Too good, honestly. So the hypercharge super bonus projectile speed would actually be reduced from an additional 47% of projectile speed to only an additional 5% of projectile speed. The super is so fast that the bounce of walls, it is essentially useless, so reducing the speed to make this part of the hypercharge more necessary for it to be good, I feel like it's needed, because the hypercharge, it is really strong, and I don't really feel like nerfing the actual hypercharge is the way, but the hypercharge super being so easy to land cannot be a thing, so these nerfs should make Lily a little bit more balanced, hopefully. Next we actually have Kaze. So her geisha form damage would be reduced from 1500 to 1400, which means that the crit point damage would be reduced from 3000 to 2800, and also the ninja form maximum damage would be reduced from 1500 to 1400, and the minimum damage would be reduced from 745 to 700. Which would also lead to a charge rate reduction by 6%. So Kaze, it's very versatile, honestly. You can use her, I would say, everywhere, maybe even highest, although I don't risk it personally. But Kaze is just a brawler that really works everywhere, and I use her a lot in ranked and rarely ever lose. So trust me, Kaze can be really strong, and these nerfs should tone her down just a little bit. Next on the nerf list we have Charlie. This video really didn't age well. But regardless, the super cost would be increased from 6 hits to 7 hits, which would lead to the hypercharge cost being increased from 10 hits to 12 hits. So honestly, the range buff did a lot, but I feel like getting the super just so fast, it is really unfair. You already have the spider gadget, which I know it got nerfed by like 2 seconds, doesn't change anything, but getting the super so fast, it's just really frustrating because you essentially never have a good opportunity to attack Charlie unless you are a medium range brawler. So with this charge rate nerf, it will open the window to some more aggressive plays against Charlie while she does not have the super. Next we have Kit, and his hypercharge is just a little bit too strong, so the hypercharge bonus damage would be reduced from 25% to 5% because the guaranteed stun, the super damage, and 3 attacks, it deals 10,000 damage. That is absurd and that should not be the case. On top of that, the hypercharge rate would be reduced from 50% to 40% because you just get the hypercharge way too fast if you play aggressively. So hopefully with these nerfs, Kit's hypercharge it is nowhere near as busted as it is right now. Next we have Tara, and I'm just tired of seeing every single time a Tara is saving her hypercharge super in gem grab just so that she team wipes my entire team. It's too easy to get the hypercharge, and the hypercharge just simply offers too much value. So the hypercharge rate would simply be reduced from 50% to 35%. The hypercharge, the effects, it is way too strong. That super explodes in a massive area and it also pulls in a massive area, which is just super annoying, and the hypercharge is just too strong, honestly. Next on the list, I have Cordelius, and I think can all agree that they absolutely overbuffed him. He can be used practically everywhere, so I'm just going to tone him down a little bit. The damage would be reduced from 1600 to 1540, which would also apply a 4% nerf to his charge rate and a hypercharge rate. But on top of that, the combo shroom star power would no longer give you bonus charge rate. So that would mean that the combo shroom would, in case you don't know, wouldn't charge your super even faster than what it already does. So opening a little bit the window for the other star power to really shine. And the damage nerf and charge rate nerf is just needed because right now Cordelius just shreds through tanks, honestly a bit too easily. Now, talking about the buffs, we'll start with Pam. Pam is, even after the damage buff, not really used. So, her charge rate will be increased from 6.75% to 8.1%. In case you don't know, with most of the brawlers, it seems that whenever you buff their damage, you also buff their charge rate, somehow. But Pam, this did not happen to her, so with this charge rate increase, it's like if that happened. But on top of that, because I don't think that would be enough, her HP would be increased from 9,600 to 10,000, making also Pam a bit tankier, because right now Pam is never used, so hopefully with these buffs, Pam is a little bit more viable. Next on the list we have Maisie, and her reload time would be reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1.2 seconds. Right now, whenever I see Maisie on any team, the team loses. It's pretty simple. In ranked, it's funny to watch, honestly. So hopefully with this reload time reduction, you get more ammo to try to land more shots, to hopefully get more supers, where Maisie can actually be really helpful for the team. Next on the list we actually have Otis, and Otis I would just do kind of a simple buff. His super projectile speed would be increased from 3200 to 3800, which is the same as the Cordelius super. The thing with the Otis is that I feel like your super is just way too hard to land sometimes, especially at medium to long range, so this projectile speed buff would really help with that. On top of that, the hypercharge now, instead of just stunning the enemy, it would actually taunt them, similar to Ollie's super, allowing you to pull the enemy in your direction so that you can actually deal even more damage instead of them just being there potentially at max range and making it hard for you to hit them. Next on the buff list we have Chuck, and the Hypercharged Smoke Cloud would now deal regular damage. So this would mean 1080 damage plus the 25% bonus damage of the Hypercharge, so that is like, if my math is correct, 1370 damage. I could be wrong. On top of that, the Hypercharge now charges over time. I had no idea that Chuck's super would not charge over time, but considering his state and considering what the Hypercharge does, I really think that the Hypercharge charging over time would be the thing that would allow Chuck to be insanely versatile. So I also think that this change is really needed for Chuck. And a final change still for Chuck would be that his trained super would now knock enemies back. I feel like this would be a little bit of a double-edged sword. In some case scenarios you don't want the knockback, but I really think that in most case scenarios the knockback is always better. It would also give you the opportunity to interrupt supers with the regular Chuck super, which I feel like it has a lot of value. So hopefully with all of these changes, Chucks not only become stronger but also a bit more versatile outside of Heist. Next we have Edgar, and Edgar would have a bit of a rework. So his damage would be increased from 1080 to 1160, his charge rate would be increased by in and around 8%, his HP would be increased from 6600 to 7000 HP. But the Hypercharge bonus damage would be reduced from 15% to 5%, and the bonus shield would also be reduced from 15% to 5%. And the Hypercharge rate would be reduced from 40% to 35%. So with all of these buffs, the idea it is to make baseline Edgar actually viable, and the Hypercharge version of him just kinda the same, because you still had the bonus HP and bonus damage of the baseline that it just got buffed. So hopefully with this buff, Edgar becomes a little bit more viable and a little bit less dependent on his Hypercharge to actually be helpful. Next on the list we have Bibi, and I just never see Bibi being used. Sometimes she can be a little bit annoying, but if you have the right counterplay she's useless. So her HP would be increased from 9600 to 10,000. And her second star power shield would be increased from 20% to 25%, making her just a bit tankier if you end up choosing this star power. On top of that, her super recharge rate would actually be increased from 25.2% to 35%. So this actually means that if you connect 2 hits and 1 hit of the bubble, you will get another super back, making it just a little bit easier to cycle supers, because even with the Hypercharge, it is very easy to mess up. So hopefully with these buffs, Bibi in general becomes a better brawler. Next we have Clancy, and he would have 3 buffs. So his super cost at level 1 would be reduced from 8 hits to 6 hits, and the super cost at level 2 would also be reduced from 7 hits to 6 hits. This would also be technically a buff to the Hypercharge rate at these levels, allowing you to get the Hypercharge a little bit faster. And on top of that, the level 2 speed would be increased from normal to fast. So instead of just going suddenly from level 2 to level 3 from normal to very fast, you now also have level 2 has the middle term. You go from normal, then to fast, then to very fast. These buffs will hopefully make Clancy just a little bit more capable of defending himself at the early levels, and also making him just a tiny bit less horrible in the early levels, because right now it is just practically impossible to play him at level 1, and if the enemy team can make you stay at level 1, you are literally the worst brawler in the game. Next we have Grom, and his HP would be increased from 5600 to 6000, and his reload time would be decreased from 2 seconds to 1.6 seconds. The thing with Grom is that he can be very punishing against enemies that don't know how to dodge his projectile. I made a whole video talking about this if you want to watch, by the way. But against good players, you're dead. You're practically never going to land a shot, and assassins completely counter you, tanks destroy you. So hopefully with the HP buff allowing Grom to survive a little longer, and the reload time allowing Grom to shoot more projectiles and to deal more damage more consistently, Grom might become a decent brawler again. Next we have Sam, and even after the Hypercharge buff, he's still useless. I still never see him. So his recharge rate of throwing the super would be increased from 35% to 50%. This means that by just hitting 2 enemies with your super, you already get your super back, which would be very good. Not only you would cycle your supers more, especially in medium ranges, you could just throw the super in a good angle, hit 2 enemies and immediately get the super back, but this would also allow you to recharge your hypercharge a lot more often, which would be a really good buff as well. Hopefully, with both of these aspects combined, Sam actually becomes a viable tank in the meta again. Next on the list have Ruffs, and his reload time would be reduced from 1.4 seconds to 1.2 seconds. Honestly, as a support, he just sometimes really lacks the ammo to even defend himself, which it's very odd. Right now, as soon as he runs out of ammo, he's usually dead, and he doesn't even deal that much damage, so this buff in my eyes is really necessary. On top of that, his hypercharge rate would be drastically increased from 40% to 60%. So, because the whole thing of Ruff's hypercharge is that he gives a hypercharge, he should get that hypercharge very fast in order to get value from such hypercharge. So, hopefully with this buff, Ruffs becomes a little bit more able to survive on his own, and also giving more hypercharge to his allies thanks to his hypercharge. Next we have Sprout, and he would have 2 buffs. His speed would be increased from normal to fast, allowing Sprout to run a little bit more freely around the map and playing a little bit better with his walls. But on top of that, his hypercharge rate would be increased from 40% to 60%. Sprout's hypercharge is useless, so if you get it more often, at least Sprout would have more times where he would have more speed, more damage, and a little bit more shield, making Sprout just a little bit better, and hopefully making Sprout usable on more maps, because you only really see him on this one map of Rain. And finally, to end today's video, we have Poco, and his hypercharge overheal shield duration would be increased from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. So now if you overheal an ally, they'll have the shield for much longer. But on top of that, the hypercharge super now heals an additional 25%. Like, Barry heals an additional 25%, Byron will most likely heal an additional 25%, so I see zero excuses to why Poco would not heal an additional 25%. I mean, he needs it because Poco is rarely ever used right now, so hopefully with this buff, Poco becomes a little bit more viable. And there you have it, a bunch of balances that I really hope to see in the next patch notes. What are your thoughts on the changes? Write your opinion down in the comments below, trust me, I will read them, and I'll see you all on the next video.